Joining me now, MSNBC legal analyst and former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance, and MSNBC political analyst and Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Eugene Robinson. Joyce, I'll start with you. The ruling on Trump's use of the National Guard in California, where do you think it goes from here, and what does it tell us about writing precedent in real time?
Right. So it's an amazing opinion written by Justice Breyer. I know people were disappointed early on when he took 2 days to set a hearing rather than immediately issuing an injunction. But he put those 2 days to good use. This opinion is sort of a master class in how judges use case law and the facts of a case to write an opinion explaining what the result should be. And that's good news on appeal, because this decision that he has rendered, which essentially says there was no indication that there was a rebellion in progress at the point where Donald Trump federalized the Guard, it is, I think, where the courts will tend to lean. We've, of course, got this 3-day administrative pause invoked by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. That's pretty routine in a case like this, but also the timing is complicated because that means that Trump retains control of the Guard during that critical Saturday period where the No Kings March is taking place.
Yeah, so there's still more to watch unfold in the courts there. But Eugene, the president wasting no time hailing the court for its decision, posting this on Truth Social. He wrote, "The appeals court ruled last night that I can use the National Guard to keep our cities, in this case Los Angeles, safe. If I didn't send the military into L.A., that city would be burning to the ground," he says. "We saved L.A. Thank you for the decision." So does this only bolster the White House view that they are winning the politics of this moment here?
Well, they clearly think they're winning the politics. I'm not sure that they are. To wrestle a U.S. senator to the ground and put him in handcuffs is not a good look for any administration. And I don't think that's a political winner for any administration, especially this one. That was an outrageous incident. I've never seen anything like it. And it says a lot about this administration. On the legal front, I'm glad we have Joyce here, because Joyce, I do remember an instance in which a president federalized the National Guard over the wishes of a governor. It's down in Alabama when President Kennedy did that to integrate the University of Alabama and get George Wallace to stop standing in the schoolhouse door. Is that not a precedent that President Trump can point back at, or is this situation that different?
Well, he can certainly try to, right? It's 1965 in Alabama. One of the great civil rights judges, Frank Johnson, has ordered that the Guard should protect marchers marching from Selma on to Montgomery and onward as they're trying to enforce the right to vote for black citizens in Alabama. And the National Guard doesn't respond. The governor of Alabama, who was a law school classmate of Judge Johnson's, just simply refuses to engage. And so President Johnson invokes federalization, this Title X sort of federalization of the National Guard, and orders them to protect marchers. Now, look, I think you're correct, Eugene, that in some sense that's a precedent that Trump could rely on. I don't think he wants to, both because of the context in that case and also because of the fact that that was an incident where the Guard was being used to protect citizens. And this is a very different one. Because President Trump is making this rebellion claim, the entire legal context is different. I don't think the Alabama precedent is very helpful.
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons that we look to that, Joyce and Eugene, is because it is one of the few examples that we have in U.S. history of a president calling in the National Guard over the objections of state and local officials, which is exactly what we see here in California. But, Gene, I want to pivot back a little bit to that video of Senator Padilla, because you're right that many of us have never seen anything like this. And it's also true that those of us who have covered the Capitol, we tend to know who the flamethrowers and the drama makers are, and Padilla is not one of them. So what do you think the impact of that kind of a video is for Democrats in terms of this larger immigration debate and the larger debate over if Trump is overstepping his bounds as president, too?
Well, look, I think Democrats will be able to point to this just to as an example of the bullying tactics, the excesses of this administration, the way they always escalate any sort of potential conflict. Even there wasn't even a conflict here. It was a U.S. senator coming in to ask a question, and the idea that the cabinet secretary does not recognize and acknowledge a U.S. senator who represents 40 million Americans in the Senate is just outrageous. Really, I've never seen anything like this, and it's as if they treated him like some random Latino guy who came in to make trouble when that's certainly not what he is and who he is.